Hey, my name is Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. We don't rely on fancy equipment for training, and most of us don't even have gym memberships. In fact, our motivation comes from within. You see, we have jobs, families, and responsibilities, but we still have big goals, and they aren't getting achieved at a global gym. For that reason, we have to do things differently. Our training has to be smarter. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man or a ton of time to train, and we don't need it, because we are achieving amazing things without it. So how do we do it? If you ask your average personal trainer or gym goer, they'd call us crazy. Yet we're seeing results better than most every single day. And it's happening by blending mental training with physical training and becoming an athlete. What we call, and welcome to, Garage Gym Athlete.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. My name is Jared Moon. With me is Joe Courtney. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well for me. And Cory Sands. How's it going, man?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, we're super pumped to have you in the program and on the podcast. So let's get started with learning a little bit more about who you are. If you give us some of the intro stuff, who you are, what you do, and how you train.
Sure. Okay, I'm Cory Sands. I grew up in Illinois. Got out of high school, went in the military. I met my wife actually back here in Illinois, and then moved to Washington State for a few years. Moved back. I currently work for IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation. So I got a pretty laid-back job as far as physically active. I don't do a whole lot, so I have to work out to stay in shape. I've always maintained the gym and worked out in the gym, and a few years ago, I decided I was going to start my own little gym in the basement, and I've been doing that, and actually was trying to do everything you guys have been doing for like the last 12 years, but you guys do it way better than I could ever do it, so I'm happy to be here. So.
And what do you mean? What are the programming and stuff?
Between everything that you've talked about between your podcast and your programming is all the same stuff that I've been trying to do on my own and try to figure out about myself.
Oh, gotcha.
But I just I started watching a couple podcasts of yours. A friend of mine referred, and I was like, wow, this guy's doing exactly what I've been trying to figure out about myself. And you guys have been doing it a lot longer than I have, so and I'm super impressed. So
awesome, man. Well, I appreciate that. So you're in the basement, and I don't know if you saw my video recently. So I think you did. You commented on it. So I switched from being a true garage gym athlete to now basement athlete. So I'm new in this this space. But so what's your basement setup, and what do you have in there?
So my basic setup is when I moved to this house, we bought our basement's not real tall. It's only 7'3". So I got the Rogue Shorty rack, which is 7 foot exactly. And then everything I got is pretty much Rogue with the exception of a few small things. But I got their 260 pounds worth of bumper plates, a bar, Ohio bar. I got their Matador dip attachment. I got the gymnastics rings. I got the skinny bar and the fat bar, and then I got the 3-inch globes, and then I got a 40-pound sandbag. I actually bought their fat bells so I could use as dumbbells and as a kettlebell. But the only downside to those was the kettlebell swings are hard to do with those. So I've been just using regular dumbbells. Yeah. And then just your normal jump rope, and I got a few other things. I got a set-up bench and just your basics.
Basics. Doesn't sound like you're missing a thing, man.
I need more plates. I'm working on that, though.
Yeah.
I'm maxed out on weight. I can't do anymore. So
that's rule number one.
I was going to say, that's first rule.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. It was money issues. I'm just trying to get it all priorities.
Awesome, man. And so why did you decide to start a garage gym? What was the main motivating factor there?
I've went to multiple gyms over the years and a couple different states, but mostly with the exception when I was going to Anytime was the availability of time to actually go work out. I've always worked weird shifts, third shift, second shift. Right now I'm currently on first shift until we start getting snow, but I just like I'd always work out right after work on when I worked on thirds, or very first thing in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I currently work out at 4 o'clock every morning.
Nice.
I get up at 3:30, and actually my 11-year-old gets up with me at 4 and works out with me every morning.
That's awesome.
And he's a trooper. Sports were rough this morning because it was 23, but we went out and did it anyways.
I was about to ask what are the temps in Illinois? That's got to be cold, man.
It said 23 degrees outside, but it feels like 10, and it felt like 10. My sprints were actually slow. I thought they were slow, but I went back and looked at the first week, and I actually PR'd, so I was pretty happy about that.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So,
man, PRing in below freezing temperatures, man.
It was cold.
That's a nice cough after that.
Yeah.
I actually we would come back in the house for a few minutes, for our 3-minute break, and then go back out. But so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so you did some Globo gym, it sounds like, and then so just mainly convenience.
Yeah.
You wanted to be able to do it when you wanted, cut the commute out, and just be in the garage or basement.
Yeah, I mean, it always costs so much money to go to one, and then you're always fighting for machines, and I just didn't care for it. So
yeah, dude, I feel your pain. I always joke that Into 3 Fitness wouldn't even exist if CrossFit gyms had just let me do my own programming. I'd always go in there and they'd be like, no, we have a class today. I'm like, I don't want your class. I want to do my own programming. They're like, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I think only recently I've seen a lot of CrossFit gyms adapt to have open gym windows.
Open gym, yeah. We got one here that does that.
Yeah, I've seen that before. It's a good idea. All right, man. So tell me a little bit about your goals right now, and maybe some accomplishments you've seen being a garage gym athlete.
Sure. So before I got back into it, started actually working out again this year about June. I took about a 1-year break. I had in the military when I was in the Marine Corps, I had a knee injury. They told me I shouldn't be walking, shouldn't be lifting heavy, so I kind of went with that. I kind of stayed away from running for a lot of years. And then when I was working for a sheriff's department out in Washington, I got hurt. Tore my rotator cuff, so that pretty much eliminated everything but body weight movements. And then I started going to a new doctor here, and he was like, so how you feeling? I was like, I feel down because I can't hit the gym anymore like I used to. And he goes, well, what's stopping you? Well, they said I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. And he goes, just go do it. He's like, either you're going to hurt yourself or you're just going to get stronger, and let's see how you feel. And so I just went back to working out like I did when I was 20, and I feel great. I mean, right now I'm down about 31 pounds. From where I was. I'm not tall. I'm only 5'6". I was like 215, 218. I'm down to about 185. And I was doing body composition testing about every 6 weeks, and right now I'm down. I lost 8 pounds of fat. I put on a pound of muscle and about 4% body fat in the first 6 weeks that I actually started tracking it. So
that's amazing, man. Well,
I'm feeling good. I'm trying to maintain now. So
what a cool doctor,
what do you use
too.
To track?
Yeah, he is. He's actually younger than me. He's a chiropractor by trade, but he does other stuff too. And he's really into fitness. He does a lot of Spartan races. He does Tough Mudders and a few others. And he's just like, just go out and do it. Let's see how you feel. I did. And your programming is the most I've ran in years. And I'm just now getting back to where I can almost do a full-out sprint and not be sore the next day. I've always had problems with shin splints, and I was doing really good until 2 weeks ago. I was coaching soccer this year, and we had a parents versus kids soccer team tournament. And I went and played, and it was cold. It was only like 35, but we ended up doing 35 minutes of soccer straight. I didn't take a break, and I was running in brand new cleats. So my shin's been sore about the last week, but I'm getting better. So
wow, that's awesome, man. That's good
thanks.
that you're actually using the fitness and doing stuff with it, which is why we train, right?
I'm trying, yeah.
So how do you like training in your garage overall?
I actually like it better.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I actually plan to move to the garage hopefully this summer. Because I just want height. I want to be able to do muscle ups and everything else on my rack. But I like it a lot. And my kids, my biggest thing when I started doing it was I found out my kids wanted to work out with me. I got 4 kids, 14 to 6. And there's been times when we've all 4 been down, or all 5 of us have been down there working out. And it's pretty fun. I mean, it gets crowded because it's not a big space, but it's workable. And they like to play with the equipment more than work out most of the time. But I got 2 that are pretty into it and getting
doing
stronger.
Something.
Yeah, they're trying.
So I get this question all the time, and I never have a great answer because I've never lived in a super cold climate. I mean, I have temporarily here and there, but what do you do, man, when it gets super cold? Are you just deal with it, layer up, or do you have like a heating element or something that you put in there, or what?
I look at it as mental toughness. I'm just going to go ahead and go out and do it and see how tough I can handle it, how long I can handle it. So, like this morning, I had they're just fleece lined. They're like the Under Armour. They're just a cheap brand of Under Armour, basically. And then just a sweatshirt and a pair of running pants. And I know I'm not going to do as well as I do if it was 80 degrees out, but I still go out and try, see what I can do. So
that's awesome, man. That's pretty much the mentality I think I would take if I lived in a much colder climate. I don't know, just moving to North Carolina, maybe we'll get a little bit of snow, but it's nothing compared to, you know.
I've lived there. It gets chilly.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's going to get down to like 27 at the time we're recording this, and that's pretty cold for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about 24 here right now, so it's chilly.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, Joe's in San Diego now. It's like
I've been there too. I love that place, but
he needs a hoodie when he like comes into like 70 or I mean like 65 degree weather. He's like, oh, it's getting a little cold.
That's cool.
Awesome, man. So what are some of the I always like to ask this for garage gym athletes because, I mean, you got the weather. We kind of talked about that. But have you dealt with any other struggles or problems that you've had to overcome? I don't know, whether it is mental toughness or the grind of just doing it each and every single day. Have you run into any problems being an athlete at home?
Yeah, the last couple years, definitely. My biggest was injuries, previous injuries mostly. I haven't had any new ones, but shin splints and fighting with those and knowing that it's going to hurt, but trying to figure out what would be the best way to work through it and still complete my workouts without just saying, no, I'm not going to do it today. And I actually had and this is probably going to fall under one of your other questions, but I had something that happened over the summertime when we were on vacation that ended up being, I always trained and I always thought I was in pretty good shape and thought, okay, I want to at least be physically fit enough that if something came up and some kind of survival situation or an accident happened, I thought I'd always be fit enough to actually do whatever I needed to do. And then this summer I wasn't able to do that. And that was kind of like a gut check for me. And that's when I got interested in you guys. I can go into the story if you'd like, or we can wait.
Yeah,
but
dude, let's go to
you.
it. Like, I got to know now. So
yeah,
sure.
We don't have to keep any order to our questions, man. I want to hear the story now.
So it's going to end up being, it's the toughest workout I've had.
Okay.
Probably, maybe in my life, but if not, real close to it. So we were on vacation back out in Washington State, visiting family. They decided we're going to go camping up in the mountains, so we did. And they wanted to go on a hike, and it was me and my wife and our 4 kids, her mom and her stepdad, and her brother and his wife and their 3 kids. So we got 7 kids from 14 to 2 years old, and they decided they wanted to go hiking up Gifford Pinto National Forest. So they picked the shortest trail, and against my better judgment, I kept my mouth shut. It wasn't my trip. I was just going along. And it ended up being a mile and a half. So it's supposed to be a mile and a half. Well, we start hiking in on this trail, and the kids only took 1 water bottle. I had a small backpack with a few things in it, but I didn't have a lot. We start hiking in on this trail, and we hike for a good hour and 15 minutes, and it's pretty much all maintaining up and down this hill, ridgeline all the way. And then you get down to the bottom, there's a little river. So they were hanging out there, and the trail ended up leading to a lake eventually, and we wanted to know how much farther it was, but the map wasn't real specific. So we get down there and we're taking a break, and my wife mentions she has asthma, and she mentions that she forgot her inhaler. It's in the van. So we take our break. She said she was going to be fine. We start hiking, and the rest of this trail, all I can see is probably a good half a mile going up at 10 or 11 degree hike. I mean, it's a pretty steep hike. So they start doing it, and she starts having an asthma attack, and then our niece starts having an asthma attack. And we actually seen another guy, and my wife's pretty good. Even when she has them, she can usually breathe through it and be okay. I seen a guy coming back down the trail, and I said, how much farther is it to the lake? He's like, oh, that was the short half you guys just hiked. It's about another 3 hours into the lake.
Oh,
wow.
So I was like, all right, well, we're turning around. So we start hiking back, and then she had another asthma attack. So I ended up in a pair of shorts and Converse All-Stars, which are like the worst hiking shoes ever, but that's what I had. Ended up running almost dead out as fast as I could run back to the van, which was probably a good 30-minute run up and down this hill. And I was about 5 minutes into it, was ready to puke. I was done. I was smoked. I couldn't do any more. My shins were on fire. I mean, my feet hurt from running. And it was just one of those, all right, you're going to have to suck it up and deal with it. And I always thought I was going to be prepared for that kind of situation if it was going to happen, and I wasn't. But I ended up getting it done. I ended up taking about a 30-second breather and just sprinting the rest of the way, and then I got back, and I was nauseous the rest of the day. But I got back to her. She got her inhaler. Everything ended up being fine. But it was at that moment I was like, all right, well, the one time I got tested, I failed. So that's on me. I wasn't training hard enough. And then I found you guys, and now I'm back in it. And I feel like if that situation would happen now, I could go for a good 45 minutes or an hour, no problem, and not slow down. I mean, I'd be pretty solid. So,
man, that's a big reason why I train in general. You know, we often talk about having these big whys, and it's just being prepared for that stuff. You know, like, and a lot of it is just knowing. I feel like because you know now if you've done a 50-minute run with us or a 45-minute run, you just know kind of how you can pace and what that feels like and stuff. But I always challenge people, like most people don't know what would happen if I was like, all right, stand up, get out of your chair, warm up for, I don't know, maybe a minute or two, but then run 100 meters. Like, what's going to happen? Like 9 times out of 10, someone's going to pull their hamstring or get hurt. Or like, they're a little bit frightened, you know, because they don't actually know, like, am I going to puke? What's going to happen? I'm talking about a 100-meter sprint, you know, like that's scary for a lot of people just because they don't know. And I think a big part of fitness is just knowing, in like all domains, like how you would operate. So you get in that situation again, you're like, hell yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know how long this would take, and I could definitely knock it out. I think that's great, man.
Yeah. So.
All right, man. So tell me a little bit more about. Let's go back to your Globo Gym days. What were you doing when you did work out in those gyms, and has your training changed over the years?
It's evolved a lot. Actually, when I first started working out, I graduated high school. I was 5'6", 125 pounds. I mean, I went in the same as I came out of high school. I went to military, right in the Marine Corps, and it was 125 pounds. Boot camp, I came out about 140. I ended up meeting up with a good friend of mine that ended up being a good friend of mine. He was always into bodybuilding, but he was always into physique. So it was a lot of just pyramid sets, your basic, everything Arnold used to do. I mean, he followed Arnold's guidebook to a T, everything he did, supersets. I did that for a lot of years until it stopped working. I'd plateau. And then my routine used to be I would work out for about 4 months solid, and then every day, and then I would take 3 months off, and then I'd go back and work out for 3 or 4 months, and then I'd take a couple months off. And but I never found a routine that I stuck with. And then after I got hurt a couple times, I switched to doing about 90% body weight of everything. I go in and do 200 pull-ups or do 100 dips or just pretty much all body weight stuff. And I would do a little bit of treadmill running in the wintertime or a little bit of outside running, but not a lot. I mean, I keep it a mile or a mile and a half. And I was maintaining that for the last probably 4 or 5 years until this last year. And then I just went back and changed everything up. And your program is the first time I've ever actually done Olympic lifts or any of that and getting to know it. I mean, I did deadlift in high school, but it was with the triangle deadlift bar. It was super easy. You really weren't going to hurt yourself that way. So.
Right. Well, it sounds like you had a pretty good base or background in fitness overall, and it's just kind of evolved, maybe a little more structured and strength and conditioning oriented now that you're with us for sure. Let's you know, I ask this question a lot, so I'm curious to hear what your answer is. What's the best activity, in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness?
Yeah. So I was doing the cold showers a couple years ago. I'd already tried them a few times, and I've always been able to maintain the cold pretty well, but the cold showers were always kind of rough. I think this morning's run was a pretty good test. That's the coldest it's been so far this year that I've ran. Mental toughness, though, sleep deprivation is a good one. I used to work a lot under that. We worked 16, 18-hour shifts with hardly any sleep and trying to still function. That was when I was working for the sheriff's department, still trying to function and do your job effectively and safely with 2 hours sleep on a regular basis. And I'd say that's probably the best one for me. That's my physically challenged as far as mental toughness would be, if I'm that tired, can I still actually do anything and be competent at it? So
it seems like the ultimate for you might be going sleep deprived and then like hopping in a cold shower. That's like the probably the ultimate test.
To try to wake up. And
yeah.
It just makes me sleepier. So.
Well, man, I know. So in the summers in Texas, you can't even really. You can take a cool shower. You can't take a cold shower. And so I try to utilize that in the winter. But you know, I've mentioned more than a few times. So I just recently moved to North Carolina, and we're on well water, and so the water's always freezing cold, but it's also getting cold outside. And I made the mistake the other day, because in Texas, I just had habit. You know, I'm like, yep, turn it all the way cold. Don't ease into it, because I normally start hot and then go to cold. And man, that's a whole different level right there. And I know that you experienced that up in Illinois, but I was like, oh, full cold, and I was like, it's like ice started shooting out of the faucet, and I was like, oh crap, no, it's got to be somewhere in between. I'll ease into this, but man, that's
I ease into it a little bit at a time till it gets all the way cold. But yeah.
Well, the only reason I didn't before is because like I said, Texas is just like. It's always hot there. The pipes never really get that cold, and so you go all the way cold and no big deal. But man, it's a whole nother level.
I've started, now that it's cooling off, I've started training when it's cold and I know I'm going to be running. I listened to your podcast when you did the one on Wim Hof, and I thought I'd try it the other day, and it was only about 35, and I went out and did the 50-minute run in just shorts and a t-shirt, and It was chilly. It was. By the time I got back to the house, it took me a couple hours to thaw out, but I got it done. So,
tip of the cap to you.
Yeah, we have the elementary school is only like 2 blocks away, so a lot of times if we're doing like a structured run like that, I'll go down there and run on the track. So that's nice to have that close. But
also, I think it's cool. I think if you live somewhere, it doesn't matter if it's extreme hot or extreme cold. You should like look at that as like a perk to something that you can utilize to train in, or like you said, like, push yourself a little bit harder. It doesn't have to be just like, oh man, it's hot or it's cold. Like how can I use this to better myself? I think that's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, man. So let's go with, if you could only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I'm kind of like with you. I like the barbell.
Barbell.
I can do a lot with it.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, dude. Well, actually, I'm going to pass it to Joe first. Joe, you have any questions for him?
Yeah, so you have all kinds of cool and interesting equipment into your gym, but if you had a wish list, one piece of equipment that could be added to it, you a genie lamp, and you could ask one piece of equipment to your garage gym, what would it be?
A rower. That's on my list. So
Concept 2,
yeah, man. Especially for the cold.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Hopefully this next year I'll get one. So.
Concept 2s, they're worth every penny. I've had this conversation with a few athletes. Like, they're hard to find at a discount. They're hard to find at a discount because they are just so awesome and they hold their value, and
right.
Because I've had mine for 4 or 5 years now, and I've never had a single problem with it. But my Airdyne, I've had to do work on every couple months. I feel like I'm screwing something back in place or whatever.
Yeah, I'm looking at a couple Airdynes around here locally that are pretty cheap.
See,
the rower, a big ticket item. So
with the Airdyne, you can find those, preferably if it's an elderly person. Because they're just using it for their knee surgery, rehab, or whatever. If you could buy that off of them, that's awesome. All right, dude. So the question, man, what's the best advice you could give to other garage gym athletes, or even potential garage gym athletes out there listening today?
Just do it. Go out there, and I don't take days off. If you guys schedule a workout, I'm just going to do it. I don't care how I feel. I've done it sick. I've done it tired. I just get up no matter what, I'm going to go work out. So
awesome, dude. Well, Cory, it's been a blast, man. I really appreciate your time. Man, Illinois, it's gonna get even colder. But best of luck to you, man. And I do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cory.
Yep. Have a good day.